BS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts.
My name is Al High, and you are tuned into Casual Highlights, the podcast, part of the BS3 Network. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to this new edition of Casual Highlights, episode 53. I've done 52 other episodes in the past. I've decided to bring the podcast officially back. There was a time where I did not want to bring Casual Highlights back and just let it go and do everything on YouTube. However, I've decided differently, and it's a long anticipated back to the basics of podcasting. Let me tell you what's going to be on tap today. We're going to talk about Deion Sanders. We're going to talk about this Chiefs-Raiders game that happened the other night. We got to talk about Davonte Adams. And yeah, why I went back to podcasting. This episode is called Back to the Basics. I've been on this journey podcasting very seriously since 2019. How I got into the game was I started with a podcast entitled Disrespect Your Senses. I did one episode, and then I left it alone. And then I said, man, I was in grad school working on my doctorate and becoming a counselor. And I was like, man, I want to do something different. I was like, should I continue to do a podcast about Bible study and God and all that? Or do I want to talk about sports and be a light in the sports field and become a journalist? So I got to practicing over the summer doing research and researching different things, different topics during the NBA Finals. And that's how I hooked up with Ben Sutter III. And the show was, he had a radio platform at the time. It wasn't BS3 Network. It was called BS3 Radio. I linked up with Ben and been podcasting ever since. And then we got, did several 52 episodes, started doing episodes online, interviewing guests. And I got happy. I said, man, you know what, man, let me bring Disrespect Your Senses back. So I brought that back. I brought that to the BS3 platform. Started doing the Disrespect Your Senses podcast. And then trying to lever that podcast and do the YouTube with Casual Highlights. And then also wanting to get into aerial photography, becoming a drone pilot and sports photography. It got way too much over the summer and toward this fall. Did some real deep soul search. I've been doing that ever since the pandemic, working on my soul, really working on myself, who I am as a person, what my contribution that I want to give to the world, what things do I enjoy doing, what I don't want to do, the things I want to say and the things I'm not going to say, and the things that I need to speak up on. And one thing I cannot get away from is sports. There's times that during those 52 episodes, there was times when I wanted to give up. And what I realized is I'm unique in my own lane. Everybody is unique, whether you're in sports, whether you're in finance, whether you're in relationship, whatever. Everyone is a creative. People say, man, well, these people are creative and those aren't. No, everybody is a creative. The thing that we have to be able to figure out is, what are we good at to create to make the world a better place? And many people are not tapped in to the inside of them to help to create, to make the world a better place. They're tapped into the matrix. That being said, I said, listen, I want to bring this podcast idea came back to me, and I said, man, let me tap this podcasting and get back into this podcasting form. Because I was like, man, ain't no money out, Then one thing, I started thinking about the money. I started thinking about the get rich, how soon can we make it happen? And we forget the joy of things. And I had to get back to asking myself the question, why do I love talking about sports? What is it that energizes me about sports? And then other part of me felt like, man, I'm not good enough because I didn't really play sports like that. But at the end of the day, there is a market that still might have not played the game, but they enjoy watching it. It's like somebody who goes to the movies. I've never been an actor. I think I did theater briefly. I did a couple of plays in elementary, middle school, I think. I don't remember. I think elementary I did a play, but I never like full blown got into acting. And so, I never did music. I never was a rapper. Well, I tried to do a rap CD in high school for a poetry project, and boy, that was interesting. But anyway, when it comes to sports, we have an opinion. And I feel like I am a fan of sports. And so the casual and the highlights is an honor and memory of my mom. And the casual is like, because, we might be diehard, but most times some of us are casual, and we have jobs, we have families, we have other obligations to take care of. So we will casually look at the ESPN or the Bleacher Report or the Fox Sports to look at sports, to find out what's going on. And so that's why we got up. So the original kind of show was the casual highlight. But I realized I have different highlights that we need to spotlight to talk about, not just the major stories going on, but I also now want to dive a little deeper into the things that aren't talked about in sports. The psychology, the mindset of players and athletes and the people, the humanity. And one of my goals for this show is to tap into the humanity. With this going forward with casual highlights is the humanity of people. I really want to tap into that a lot more. The humanity of people and understanding the fan, the coach, the player, and learning those lessons and taking that, what they do on and off the field, into our real world and still making the world a better place, but discussing it in a different manner. So highlighting, the humanity of people. We got, here, man, listen, it's casual highlights. So we got to we got to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we might not like it, but this is a place where we have discussions about it. So you asked, do I still have a YouTube channel? I still do have a YouTube channel. Currently, I'm process of building that up. I'm doing just YouTube shorts right now and doing basic, giving my opinion, power rankings one day. I might talk about one little quick sports topic here. So yeah, my YouTube channel is Casual Highlights. That's casual and then highlights. That's HYGHLIGHT with an S on the end. And then I'm even on Instagram, and I'm rebuilding that up. And that's going to be where we'll do some, everything is reels and shorts now, man. You can't really do photos of stuff. But this podcast form right now, until I'm able to start doing long form content on YouTube, I'm not going to start doing long form content on YouTube just yet. But this is really going to be where I express the thoughts of what I see during games, highlight different stories, might start bringing on guests, but right now it's just about getting to know me. And then you might ask, well, what about disrespect your senses? I'm going to probably put that one on suspension until further notice. And I will take some things when we talk about the humanity of people, bring a couple of stories to talk about to tie in with sports, with disrespect your senses on Casual Highlights. So it won't be, well, how many podcasts you going to do a week, Al? Are you going to do one podcast? You're going to do two podcasts? You're going to do, man, listen, I'm going to give you, if I give you one podcast a week, it might be 5 minutes, or it might be 40 minutes, or I might drop in every day just to give you something that's going on. But it's really it's just an opinion of what I see, what my opinion, what we can do going forward. And I really try to, when I try to let everybody speak on it first and really dissect what's going on. And I try to read between the lines of different articles, and then I bring a perspective. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Relaunch, the new birth, Casual Highlights. We're in the building.
PS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts.
All right, so let me go ahead and get into this topic of, I think I'm going to save Deion and Eddie Robinson Jr. for last, but I want to talk about this what the heck is going on in the NFL right now after week 5. Listen, after week 5, if you do a pick'em challenge, I'm in two pick'em challenge leagues. I'm in one with the lunch break with AJ Jones. Shout out to him and his show. I'm also in a pick'em challenge with a group of guys at work, and we do Gatorade. So last week's picks should have been pretty easy, but lately, before I dive into this Chiefs versus Raiders, I really think, man, the NFL is rigged. Okay, now let me get that off my chest. Okay, so Chiefs beat the Raiders 30-29. And here's why I feel I'm tying into the reason why I think the NFL is rigged, okay? Number one, why the whole hell in the heaven are we going for 2? What's up with all this damn analytics stuff? This is not baseball. This is football and basketball. If you wanted to do analytics, y'all should have did baseball. Now everybody trying to outsmart everybody. And the numbers say, well, if you do this right here, man, we done saw that week 5, people going for 4th and 5 at their own 25-yard line. What the hell is going on? I feel like, man, all this money going into these leagues now, something like the common sense. We got more about analytics than common sense. And all this money going into Vegas. We got DraftKings. We got all these other draft leagues, fantasy, man. Like some of these onside kicks. I was in one league and I picked Cleveland on one of these games, and they lost to the Jets. I'm like, how do you miss an onside kick and how do you blow a coverage for a touchdown? It's like some of this stuff is just interesting to me. Like, it's like, wait a minute, man, something ain't right. Then we deal with we go with the analytics of the coaches. Okay, Chiefs were down 17-0. You know, Travis Kelce scores 4 touchdowns. And I got a bold statement to say. Travis Kelce right now is the offensive player of the year, and we probably need to consider him most valuable player of the league. So Andy Reid goes for 2. You kick the extra point, you'll be up 31-23. You'll be up 32-23. And so he went for it. They missed it, so it was 30-23. So my opinion on that one was, okay, why did he go for 2? Okay, maybe because we're struggling our kicking game. You know, it hasn't been the best. The guy we had before that, you know, Harrison Buckner's out. He hasn't been right since week 1. Heck, our safety, Justin Reed, have him kick extra points. Man, that boy can kick the ball, all right? At this particular kicker, maybe he was struggling, and you know that's why Andy said go for 2, and that's why he went for it. But Josh McDaniel, dog, you go down the field and you go for 2, 30-29, and okay, you don't kick the extra point. You still have like over 4 minutes left. You've played the Chiefs pretty doggone good. Even though you let them get back in the game. You apparently in the red zone, your boys couldn't cover Travis Kelce. But I know you play to win the game. Okay, Herm Edwards play to win the game. But my God, like really? Like, come on now. Stop it. Why would you go for 2? Get that. You got a good kicker, Carlson. Let him kick that extra point. Tie that game up and give your team a chance to win the game. Then dog on it, you throw a long ball on 4th and 1. Both of your receivers collide on a deep pass and game over. Why the whole hell in the heaven are you not running it with Josh Jacobs? That boy ran all over doggone field. He ran all over us. I'm concerned if we go to Vegas, man, and they do that in Vegas, man, and the Raiders might beat us in Vegas. We get down 4th and 1, you throwing it. To me, I got it. This is where right now, if I'm giving first quarter awards, we're going to give first quarter awards when it comes to best conference, the least, the NFC East, that is, because you got 3 winning teams who are either undefeated or lost one game, and then the conference or the division that they said that was going to be at least every team was going to be good, man, and that they've been pooping their pants right now. You got 2-3, the Broncos. You got the Raiders, who are 1-4. You got the Chargers, who can't close, in Kansas City at 4-1. Here's what bottom line is this. What I've learned watching this league for years now, you're going to have your blowouts. You know certain teams are going to poop their pants every week. This league is about, can you close? The Raiders have not closed. This is why this difference between them being a 1-4 team and a 4-1 team, because the Raiders have not been able to close out games. Like Stephen A. Smith used to say, the Cowboys are the accident waiting to happen. No, this is the real accident waiting to happen when you can't close out games. When you can't beat Arizona. Come on now. Kyler Murray, Mr. Fortnite himself? No. No. Mr. Halo Man? No. You can't. It take y'all, you let a man run around for 15 seconds and can't close? Man, bro, stop it. That's the difference in this league. And one thing that I could say about watching Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes together, that's why they call Patrick Mahomes the Grim Reaper up here. They're closers. They close. They finish up and they close. But this particular, right, as we're looking at right now, they can't. They Raiders not able to close. The Broncos is a whole mess. The Chargers have a history of not closing right now. They couldn't close. Phillip Rivers couldn't close nothing. And now we see that same pattern with poor little Justin Herbert. That's in life too, man. People get this like excitement to do stuff. And then when it comes down to details, situational, you're not able to close. You're not able to close the deal because you missed out on certain details. Same way in football. Oh yeah, let me get on this Chris Jones too. This is the second with Chris Jones. This is the second time that he's been penalized for some BS. In the Colts game, which I figured that the Colts were going to win that game because that was the first home game of the year. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at the Chiefs. Chris Jones had an unsportsmanlike penalty in that game. And the Colts kept the ball and they ended up winning the game. Same way with what happened on Monday night. The man sacked him, stripped the ball. He fumbled it and he took the ball away from him. That's like a defensive lineman's dream. Either that or getting an interception and taking it back to the house for a touchdown. And they call roughing the passer. I said some of these penalties, see, this is why I say it's rigged, because some of these penalties are absolutely ridiculous. Then they had the penalty where the Chiefs were lined up to kick the football, and they kicked the field goal. The old boy had missed it. That's why I think that's part of the reason why Andy Reid went for 2. But then, get this, there was a defensive holding. And I'm looking at the play like, wait a minute. I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm an honest Chiefs fan. What the hell was that? That wasn't no damn holding. What? Man, where that in the rule book at? Who calls that kind of play? Like, just some of this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous, man. Like, what is going on? Then they had the game if you look at the Atlanta game on Sunday, when they played the Falcons, or the Falcons played Tampa Bay, and there was that sack on Brady, unnecessary roughness. Boy, I said, get out of here, man. This is absolutely ridiculous. What is going on? I think we're gonna have to do a show about that, about the rig, some of these bad calls that have been made in sports history. The moral of the story is closing time. And can you close? Oh, I forgot to tell you about Davonte Adams. Somewhere in his mind, I think he missed Green Bay right now. Yeah, Green Bay 3-2, but doggone it, they might be 4-1. And Davonte probably would have had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, 8 targets in the game. Boy, the fantasy numbers would be off the chain. Yeah, I know he got some fantasy numbers Monday night, but the fantasy numbers would be even more better if he had Aaron Rodgers up in that thing. My man got into a altercation headed off the field, man, and now there's a misdemeanor assault charge, and he gonna have to pay some money. So this reminded me of, I'm going to take you back to in the NBA, a guy by the name of Dennis Rodman. And Dennis Rodman had a situation back in 1997 where he was fighting for a loose ball with Kevin Garnett and fell out of bounds. Well, he kicked the cameraman because the cameraman pointed the camera in his face and he kicked the cameraman. So he ended up settling out of court with the cameraman. I think it was over $200,000 Dennis Rodman had to pay out. And then also he served like an 11-game suspension. They suspended him without pay for 11 games, and the NBA fined him $25,000. And at the time, that was the second longest punishment in league history. And so that cost Rodman about $1.1 million. So taking it back to Davonte Adams, they're leaving the field, and the cameraman gets in whoever this person was with the Monday night crew, whoever this man was in the way, and he pushed them out the way. And just listening to other NFL gurus and football guys, there's a cool-off period, which I didn't know about. There's a cool-off period of 20 minutes before they talk to anybody, before the media, because your emotions after the game, are very high after the game. And so they want you to cool off before you talk to the media and you say something crazy or pop off. And so it's unfortunate for Davonte. Davonte has to watch what he's doing, taking it out on people, but also I think the NFL is going to make procedures where this situation doesn't happen again. Davonte did apologize to him, did apologize to that particular young gentleman, and he's going to pay a fine. Davonte going to pay a fine with the NFL. He's not going to I don't think he'll get suspended games. He'll pay a fine, but he also going to pay that lawsuit as well. He's going to give him some bread on that. All right, so let's get into this Deion Sanders nonsense. I got to get a drink for this one, because this Deion, Eddie Robertson, this SWAC stuff, Lord have mercy. Man, love Deion. We're going to make some money on this. Put some respect on my name, have to get some money, man. I'm not SWAC. Listen, Deion might come out of retirement and make a rap CD, play with him, get a motivational, get like 5 songs on there. I'm not SWAC. Then get a remix and then get ET on there with some positive, with a positive message with a beat. Man, shoot, call up MC Hammer, get him on there. Man, shoot, it's Deion. But I want to talk about this for just a moment, because this is the type of publicity. It's interesting, but it's not. I don't want to say it's interesting. But I want to start from this perspective. First of all, Eddie Robinson Jr. I've never heard this gentleman till this game, and apparently he's Alabama alum, was in the NFL for 10 years. He got it from the mud. Okay, got you. Former real estate agent. He probably still is a real estate agent, man. But I admire. Listen, we not backing down from Deion. Listen, we gonna get you ready. We are not backing down just because you're Jackson State. Well, I don't care about the flash. It must be the money. No, we're not backing down. So, and I liked in his press conference, he honored his son. He said, man, he should be Heisman. I was like, okay. Jackson State, a good football team, but he didn't like the way Deion handled it and didn't come approach him at the midfield to have a handshake before the game. I see where he was coming from about the integrity of it. And this is where I disagree with Deion. Let me deal with Deion first, then I'm going to come back to Eddie Robinson. What Deion did, okay, they said that the bus was late getting to the stadium. In Deion's tradition, he always takes the long way to the sideline. And so, he walks all the way around to his sideline. But most times, usually nobody is in the stadium, or you're not walking through nobody's drills or nobody's stretching and that type of stuff. So maybe the wisdom part that Deion could have done was, okay, hey, I can't do what I usually do normally to warm up. I usually jog, but now I can't jog anymore. I have to walk I'm not going to do my usual tradition where I walk all the way around because it's, the other team is on that side of the field. That particular team is already there getting warmed up. I don't want to make a scene. And you can even hear some of the players in the background saying stuff. And some people have said, well, those words were going towards Deion. And I really can't confirm if that was words being expressed to Deion. They might have been having casual conversation. I'm not going to say what it was, but you can hear the expressive language. And if they were talking to Deion like that, I think, in my opinion, on those players, that's very disrespectful to talk to a grown man like that, who's much older than you. And so I think Deion probably could have handled that better and probably met him, listen, things in life happen. I can't get everything I want. I'm going to just go to my sideline, do my regular walk over there. And then let me still greet the coach, And I felt like that. I think that's where the coach felt disrespected. And then he was upset, man, too. He was in the heat of the moment, man. My team lost. And we had to schedule, I guess homecoming games, easy cake game. And we got beat by this particular team. And you could tell the passion that Eddie Robinson Jr. has for winning. Now, let me get on his case. I got on Deion. I got to get on Eddie Robinson. Eddie Robinson was out of pocket when he said, Deion ain't SWAC. I felt everything in my bone of selfishness and disrespect. I'm tell you why I felt that particular way. It almost felt like you're not black enough to be at a HBCU. Who gives you the authority and the right to be here? Just because you're Hall of Fame or you're flashy. Listen, Deion is Deion. Deion is flashy. That's his personality. That is who he is. Okay. And for Eddie Robinson to say that, man, I was very pissed off. I was very angry for a moment. I said, man, all this stuff that Deion has done for the SWAC. And then, he's come out, Eddie Robinson has come out and said, that's not what I meant by that. Nah, man, we know what you meant, homie. If you ain't going to mean it, then don't say then don't say it that way. Because, so Deion went to a PWI. Okay, Eddie Robinson, we know your story. You had to get it from the mud. You had to take the bus. Back then, y'all wasn't flying charter planes to fly to your games. You had to ride on a bus for 6 to 8 hours to some locations. But it is what it is. But for you to downgrade one black man to another, saying, well, it's almost like, well, you're not black enough because you went to a PWI and you didn't go to HBCU. At the end of the day, we still the same color, homie, whether we go to a PWI or HBCU. And that was, to me, I was disgusted with that particular comment right there. Because, put it like this, wasn't nobody talking about HBCU football but A.J. Jones in the lunch break. And maybe a couple other people were talking about HBCUs like that and was into talking about that type of stuff. But now, ever since, it really kicked off with George Floyd, the death of George Floyd, and then the hiring of Deion Sanders. And then when Deion got hired, then you had Eddie George come on. You had, Eddie George brought in Hugh Jackson. Then, we still got Fred McNair, who's at Alcorn. Well, he was Fred McNair had been there for a while at Alcorn State. But you bringing in guys who really, because, historically black institutions, some of your greatest players came from these particular institutions. And so the awareness that Deion has brought, just Deion himself, because it's almost like for Deion to go to an HBCU, I just want you to imagine somebody who retired and had a successful, after they retired, and they had a successful TV career. Like Deion was on NFL Network and did a couple other great things after retirement. I want you to think about this guy named Shaquille O'Neal. That's like Shaquille O'Neal going to Grambling State to coach basketball. And how much now the eyeballs are going to be on Shaquille O'Neal and the whole HBCU landscape. Deion has raised the bar because before that, there really wasn't no bar. There was North Carolina A&T coming out the MEAC. You had the SWAC where you had at the time pre-COVID, toward the end of COVID, there was Southern, Dawson Odom. You had Fred McNair at Alcorn State. You had Dooley starting to build up that Prairie View A&M program out there. You had Grambling in and out. Those were the big dogs in A&T and South Carolina State in the last maybe 10 years since the Celebration Bowl. But Deion has taken it to a different level, and he's changed the game, because most HBCUs did not touch particular players. And now with Deion swag, man, listen, hey, come here, man, I'm gonna coach you. Man, he got the #1 recruit to come to an HBCU. Recognition. Now you got eyeballs following this particular kid. ESPN, all the recruiting people, Fox Sports, Bleacher Report, Barstool. They coming to come see what's going on at Jackson State. And they're also watching these other schools to see what they do. So here's what I'm trying to say, man. To me, what Eddie Robinson said was a slap in the face. Then this man also has taken his own money and has put it in investment to Jackson State. We don't even know how much money he's put into it. It won't probably be publicized for a while. And you've had HBCU fans screaming and hollering like, yo, not screaming, but man, where's the recognition for the HBCU programs, man? Where are the players at, man? We wish we had the talent to come here. And now you got the cachet of Deion. You got the Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George at Tennessee State. You got Hugh Jackson at Grambling State, even though that's a mess right now. I don't know what that is. What that about up there, boy? Him and Kendall Browse. That's still to be determined up there, man. Okay, but it has raised the bar for everybody. When you don't have a trainer for Alcorn State, and he's able to get the resources, help get the resources to get that together, and you got Deion bringing in ideas for the SWAC, things that had not been thought of before, is now taking the SWAC, and not just the SWAC, but black college football to a different level. The MEAC, I put the other leagues down. The SIAC league is making us think about that a little bit more. It's making us is raising the bar, and you're bringing somebody who's had the resources that he could have easily went to Florida State. Well, they didn't hire him. They hired somebody. They went a different route because he had. And it's like I feel like he's on a mission to revive the HBCU. Because most people, when you think of HBCUs, most people think of Eddie Robinson in Grambling State, or they think of the marching bands, and they think of Sonic Boom, Jackson State, and they think of Southern versus Grambling for the Bayou Classic, and that's about it. They don't think about nothing else. They don't think about the history of some people go a little bit deeper. They know about Walter Payton and Jerry Rice and how and what they went through. They don't think about Michael Strahan. He went to Texas Southern. People don't think about that type of stuff. And so the exposure that he's bringing to HBCUs, man, because people have been like, yo, we need exposure, and just him alone. Name recognition, man. Sometimes, man, you need the name needs to come up. The name needs to come in and make stuff happen. So I love it. I love what Deion is doing. I didn't agree with some of his antics, but I love what he's doing. And I think Eddie Robinson Jr. was out of pocket for saying what he said. But I also think another part of this is rooted in jealousy. I think there's some coaches who are jealous because they've been used to let the good times roll and it is what it is. And now Deion comes in here and brings all these ideas, and then now they feel like Deion get all the credit. When Deion said, man, I'm just a team, man. I want us all to come together and collab and be like a major super conference, man. He's thinking Deion is what he's doing. He's a futurist. So he's seeing not just 5-10 years from now. He's seeing, man, in 20-25 years from now, what black college football can be. Because he wants to be able to one day see black college football compete with the levels of the Power Five, perhaps. And it can get done because you got the resources. And then he's saying, hey, instead of doing all these classics every year, why don't we bring the games back to the stadiums? Because you're not selling out these particular classics. Half the stadiums ain't even full. Hello. Let's keep some of the money in the pocket and let's invite some of our fans to come to these particular games. And then the last thing that bothered me was some of these HBCU fans. They're making the comments like, well, you know, he's only at Jackson State, using Jackson State to get a Power 5 job. He's not going to be here long. And you know, when Florida State fires Mark Novell, or I think the coach, whatever that coach name of Florida State is, whatever, you know, when that job with that Power 5 and that, or Georgia Tech opened up, man, he gonna leave and go there. Well, if that's what he wants to do, that's his desire. When his time is up, his time is up. If there was other coaches who had there's probably plenty of coaches in the SWAC right now, in the MEAC, in the SIAC conference, the CIAA, the GCAC conference, that's saying, man, I want to move up one day. Y'all know that coach at Florida right now, Billy Napier? Billy Napier started his career at South Carolina State, and he had a desire to go, you know, to be at a mid-major, a Power 5 level conference. That was his desire to do that. I think another thing with us, I believe some of this stuff is coaching. I think I need to talk about that on the pod. I need to write that one down. I think we need to talk about coaching. Are our players being developed to be in the best position to win? Players and coaching, because we see it on the Power 5 level. Ain't no coaching on the Power 5 level because it's showing up on NFL Sundays with some of this quarterback play. And we got to talk about that. I think we got to get a panel discussion on this quarterback play but anyway, as I digress, this coaching, I think some of the techniques and how we coaching the players is not correct. And we can see it we do the best that we can, but some of this don't make no doggone sense. But I'm going to end this dialogue like this. I just hope, man, we keep growing. Deion continues to do his job. If he decides after Shador and the Shador leaves and he wants to go, let him go. That's his desire. But sometimes you have to have that particular experience to know what it is to recruit, what it is to understand. If you've never to understand a person and how they act, how they interact, that's the humanity. That's the psychology side of it. And being able to teach, being able to speak the people's language. That's why you got coaches who've been coaching for 30 or 40 years. Nick Saban, for him to be where he's at, for the amount of years he's been there, he's had to been able to speak that language of the player, be able to study the player, had to be able to and somewhat adapt with time. Now, some things he ain't adapted to, because some things he said, hell no, I'm not putting up with that BS. No. He's old school, draw the line. But some stuff he can be able to adapt and to sit down and to listen to see where that particular player is coming from. That's why Nick Saban is always winning every year. Same way with us, with HBCUs, we have to be able to adapt. If you want to be able to exist in the future, you're going to have to change your ways and adapt, but also come together collectively. Listen, I ain't mean to go. I went 15, 20 minutes over, but it's good to be back into podcasting again. Thank you for tuning in today to today's episode. You can follow Casual Highlights right here on BS3 Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and check out my YouTube shorts. I do put out at Casual Highlights, and also check out my Instagram, Casual Highlights. Till next time, my name is Al High. Y'all know what it is. God is love, and disrespect your senses.
BS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts.